the American West, the climate crisis, it's evolving faster than anticipated. The grip of climate change is tightening, and its impacts are dangerous. The American West, it's become drier over the past 30 years. Extreme heat is now the top weather-related killer in the United States. And wildfires have never been larger or more destructive than they are right now. And that's why it was so imperative that the Golden State take nation-leading action on this crisis. And thanks to so many of you here today, that is exactly what has happened. The bills that were passed by the legislature, along with this record-setting $54 billion climate action budget, it's going to accelerate California's clean energy policy goals. The state will now adopt more ambitious reduction targets. We're going to be greening our energy grid and building larger clean energy power plants, which will shore up our grid at a faster pace, and we need it now more than ever. It's going to establish setbacks, as you heard, from oil wells and protect vulnerable neighborhoods and communities. We're going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions at a faster clip and provide the hardest hit communities by the climate crisis with the resources they need to adapt and thrive. Now, do we need to do a lot more work in the years to come? You're damn right we do. But today represents some of the most consequential action taken by this state to tackle the climate crisis in decades, and it's about damn time. And finally, I just want to say this. We wouldn't be here today without the partnership between the President of the State Senate, Tony Atkins, the Speaker of the State Assembly, Anthony Rendon, and Governor Gavin Newsom. President Atkins, Speaker Rendon, and the governor came together. They came together like never before to be able to get this deal across the finish line. And to be clear, we're also here today thanks to the organizing and the mobilizing of so many groups across this state. And we're here today thanks to some key legislative leaders. We want to say thank you in particular to Senator Gonzalez and Limon, to Assemblymember Marisucci and Garcia. We want to say thank you to Senator Laird, who is the chair of the Senate Working Group, and Senator Skinner and Senator Caballero, as well as Assemblymembers Rivas and Friedman. You are all here because of what you did, and we are incredibly grateful. And speaking of leaders, it is now my honor to be able to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Assemblymember Al Marisucci.
All right, thank you, Senator, and good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Vallejo. I am honored to join all of you and to join my colleague in this fight, Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, as joint authors of AB 1279, the California Climate Crisis Act. As we all know, the climate crisis is here and now. Wildfires, droughts, extreme heat, flash floods across the country becoming worse every year, causing death, billions in property damage. As we've heard before, this is code red for humanity, and we're running out of time to save our planet as we know it. AB 1279 is part of the climate package that strengthens California's commitment as the world's 5th largest economy to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by or before 2045 by leading the charge to invest in clean, renewable energy and phase out our dependence on fossil fuels. I'd like to give special thanks to Governor Newsom, Assembly Speaker Rendon, Senate President Pro Tem Atkins, all of their staff, together with my colleagues in both houses, those who are here today, as well as many who are not, for working together to go big and bold for our planet. I'd like to give special thanks to Susan Chan. Where is Susan? Susan Chan is Chief Consultant for our Joint Legislative Climate Change Committee, for all her hard work on this bill. Last, I'd like to echo what Senator McGuire just said. This climate package shows how California can lead in the national and global fight against climate change when we all roll up our sleeves and get down to work. So we know that we still have a lot more work to do. I look forward to working with all of you. But for today, let's celebrate this climate package. Thank you very much. And again, let me now call upon my partner in this fight, Assemblymember Cristina Garcia.
Buenos días, ¿cómo estamos? Voy a dar unos breves comentarios en español para que no se me olvide. Un día histórico aquí en Vallejo. Estamos celebrando que California de nuevo va a estar al frente del movimiento para asegurarse que estemos listos para el cambio climático que estamos sufriendo hoy en día, sea con el calor, con las tormentas que estamos viendo, con los incendios a través del estado y todo el oeste del país. Pero aquí en California estamos diciendo que vamos a ser líderes, no nomás en este cambio, pero asegurarnos que el cambio va a ser importante y no va a dejar a nadie atrás, especialmente a nuestras comunidades latinas, afroamericanas, que muchas veces han sido sacrificadas por el beneficio de otros. Entonces, un orgullo estar aquí con todos. Le quiero dar las gracias al gobernador, al presidente del Senado de la Asamblea y a mis colegas de la Asamblea y el Senado que hicieron ese trabajo por años. Esto no es algo que empezó de repente. Tenemos años trabajando en esto. Es una promesa que le debemos a la comunidad por mucho tiempo. Entonces, les quiero dar las gracias a eso también. Thank you. That's the limitations of my Spanish for this morning. But I wanted to make sure that we recognized my colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate that have been mentioned who worked day in and day out, not just over the last 2 months, but really for years to get this package through. These are not ideas or concepts that popped up overnight. They're bills that have been worked on for a long time, and it was with their leadership, but with the leadership of the pro tem, the speaker, and the governor, that we finally get to stand here today celebrating this transformative package of bills for the state of California. And so I had the luxury of tag teaming on Mr. Marisucci's bill, but I got to do my own bill. That's really a combination of a bill that Assembly member Robert Rivas and myself have been working on and came together out there. And so I also want to recognize him for his hard work on this space on natural working lands. Yes. We're going to ensure that we activate our natural working lands and that we enable carbon sequestration on our lands here to enhance biodiversity, make lands more resilient to extreme events of drought, heat, and wildfire and flooding. And this last month has made that even more pressing on us. But it also ensures that we're going to have cleaner air and cleaner water, that we're going to increase our natural water storage, stabilize and improve crop yields, among many other benefits. I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to go off thing. I've been working in this space for 10 years, and I want to say that over the 10 years, I made a promise to my community that we were no longer going to be a sacrifice zones. Because all my life I've heard, wait a little bit longer. It's not your turn yet. You got to sacrifice for everyone else's benefit. This is too hard or too hard. But for the first time, maybe the second time in my 10 years, we're telling communities like mine, you're going to be at the forefront, whether that's through budget dollars, whether that's through setbacks, whether that's through having a natural working lands bill that ensures that they get to be at the table to set those goals out there, that they get to be part of the table out there. And so it's exciting to be able to be here in a transformative moment, not just because California is leading the world, but we're creating a mapway of how to do that equitably for all of our communities, especially our most vulnerable communities. But like you've already heard, I want to celebrate, yes. I want to celebrate today. I'm very excited about this moment. But I also want to pass on the baton because our work isn't done. And so as we implement these bills, as we spend those dollars, as we introduce a new package next year, we need to make sure that we honor the promises made today. And so I'll be picking up the phone along the way to my colleagues to ensure that that gets done out there. But just thank you to everyone who's worked on this. Congratulations to all the stakeholders, especially the community members who have sacrificed day in and day out, not sure that we were ever going to get to this point. And so I want to congratulate you specifically for making this possible, and the governor for giving us that extra push we needed to finally get this package across the finish line. And so with that, I want to bring up our Senator John Laird. This is his hometown. He spent all the way from K through high school here, so welcome home.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the governor for scheduling this in my hometown. And so I think it's a message that if you went to Cave Elementary School or Springstown Junior High School or graduated from Hogan High, you too can grow up and go into the legislature and have a bill that's big enough that your governor will come back to your hometown and sign it in public. If we talked about having this ceremony a year ago, I think none of us in the legislature would have thought it was possible. We did not have a good end of the year last year on pieces of some of the very bills that we just passed into law. And the Senate president decided for her part that wasn't going to happen again. So she appointed a 12-senator working group, and we had 25 meetings, 9 with many of the stakeholders that have spoken are here. And any senator that you hear from today was on that working group. And we also have Senator Josh Becker, Senator Henry Stern, Senator Bob Hertzberg, and a de facto member, Senator Bill Dodd, who had $1.1 billion of new electricity in a bill that he had signed into law. And after those meetings, we came up with a bill package, and there are 10 bills on the governor's desk on a broad array of things out of that. But our biggest bill that was co-authored by everybody in the group and the Senate president is the one that the governor is going to sign here today, SB 1020. And it really says that we need interim goals and we need to kickstart our electricity work in California, and we need to keep on it. And the urgency is, as everybody has said, I live in the temperate, usually fog-shrouded town I used to be mayor of Santa Cruz, and who knew that 2 years ago, 900 of my friends and neighbors would lose their houses, and we would be packed and ready to go as just our fire department was at the city limits as the fire approached. This is urgent. This is the time for urgent action. And yes, we have more to do. We have to make sure that these goals are actually met. We have equity issues that still have to be dealt with. And we will come back and we will work on those. But today is a day of celebration. It's really for all the people I've mentioned, for our assembly colleagues, for all the stakeholders that have fought in the trenches for a long time, and also for the governor who really kick-started it with his late ad. We got all those bills off the Senate floor with pieces that we had defeated before. It was a tribute to that leadership that happened. So today is a day of celebration, and I thank everybody for their work that got us here. And it's my pleasure to introduce one of my colleagues who had one of the bills that had its ups and downs this year. She would have, by rights, walked away from it a couple of times, but she didn't. She stuck in it all the way. She made this bill happen by sheer force of will, and that's why she gets to stand here and celebrate the fact that it's in the package that the governor will sign. Please welcome Senator Ana Caballero.
Thank you, Senator Laird. You know, the problem with going after so many good speakers is that what's left to say. So let me just tell you that, thanks for that great introduction, John. The bottom line is that this is transformative. And it didn't happen this year alone. It happened over the last number of years. And part of the challenge in doing work that's transformative, that will fundamentally change the direction of our efforts, is that there are pieces that some people like and pieces that other people like. And then there's other pieces that people hate. And then, you know, so you're going through this process. I ended up with one of the pieces people weren't so sure about, right? And I have to do a shout out to Senator Skinner, who is not here today. She was a co-author with me on SB 905. Which is the carbon capture bill. And carbon capture is a new technology that is, it's much more complicated than this, but it's basically has the capacity to pull carbon out of the air, carbon that is killing our not only our state and our country, but is killing the world. to pull it out of the air and to store it. And you heard Assemblymember Cristina Garcia and the Assembly had the natural working lands, which is critically important. There are ways we can change farming so that we can capture that carbon and use it to our benefit. But the whole idea is that this provides a number of things that I have been concerned about for a number of years. This is new technology to meet our goals, and it ensures what we were looking at is ensuring grid reliability, ensuring green jobs, and that's the high road jobs. We need to make sure that as we get out of one industry, we have the jobs in another, and many of us have districts where that is critically important. And we have to ensure that communities of limited means have access to energy that they can afford. And that means the access to electric vehicles if they want to buy them, to solar, right? Because right now, that's just not the case. And so for some of the hottest places in the state of California, we need to make the major investments like the Central Valley, the Imperial Valley, and quite frankly, almost the entire state now has seen these heat waves come. So the great thing about today, it is transformative. The Senate Climate Working Group struggled with a lot of these concepts, and we arm wrestled and we argued and we fought and we came together and said we got to get this done. And then the Assembly stepped up with some incredible leadership from the Assembly members that are here today to make sure that we could get this across the finish line. So I want to thank the governor for his commitment to this issue. He wouldn't let us go. I mean, he wouldn't let us stop. And that actually gave me the impetus to stick with it and to make sure that we had the issues that I think most of our state is interested in is how are we going to get there? What's it going to cost, and how do we participate? How can we be active participants? Because they're going to have to change. People are going to have to change how they do things. And we're going to have to really work hard to. We didn't finish. We still have more to do. You'll see us back again next year. Hopefully, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but when somebody said Vallejo, John got all excited. I just have to say that Assemblymember Rivas is waiting for the governor to go to Hollister, so we can celebrate Hollister as well. So a big shout out to the governor, and thank you all very much for joining us here today, because we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce an individual that has been a tremendous partner in the Climate Action Working Group. She is chair of the Senate Transportation Committee and a great friend, Senator Lina Gonzalez.
Right. Well, good morning, everyone. Are we excited about this climate commitment or what? Pretty awesome. And I actually trekked up here with my little one, little LBC back here. He said no paparazzi, so he didn't want to come up to the podium today. But the reason why we do this, first and foremost, is because some of us are parents. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I live in Long Beach. I represent Southeast Los Angeles, and I'm really proud to do that. But so many of the families that I represent are living near thousands of oil wells. And this was the impetus for me to be able to author and build off of the good work that had been done for many years before by Assemblymember Marisucci and Senator Wiener and Senator Limon, to be able to author SB 1137. SB 1137 was not easy. I think all of us know it was not an easy piece of legislation to get through the legislature. Even in a time of climate crisis, it was very difficult. I thank our floor manager, Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, who did incredible work with many of the Assembly members to get this off the floor. Senator Monique Limon, who was an incredible co-author. Our pro tem, our majority leader, our Senate working group led by Senator Laird. So many people put their efforts through to ensure that we saw this day. And as we know, far too long, not just in Los Angeles County, thousands of oil wells will now be a thing of the past. And I'm excited about that, because as we are moving towards a fossil fuel-free future, say that fast, it is important and it's imperative that these communities know, Latino, Black, Indigenous, other people of color, that they know that their frontline communities will no longer be subject to injustice, environmental injustice. I'm extremely grateful for the governor and his team, an incredible team that stuck by us to ensure we saw these bills through. And I want to ensure that we're going to keep fighting. All of these bills are not the be-all, end-all. We're going to continue to build off of this to ensure that more communities know that they are a priority through this climate crisis. And with that, I say thank you. I look forward to continued work with my colleagues. And I have the great pleasure and honor now of introducing our great governor, Gavin Newsom. Thank you so much.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I don't have a speech. I don't know why I'm opening anything up. Let me thank everybody. I was sitting in the back having some fun, listening to everybody give their remarks, and I'm just incredibly grateful and humbled by all of you and all the extraordinary work that you've done over the course of the last many years to get us to this point. They say when things happen fast, it's really what happened before, which is things move very, very slowly, and then all of a sudden, they move very, very fast. But it was the seeds that were planted over the course of the last many, many years that advanced this cause today. Senator Laird highlighted that in terms of what didn't happen last year in a sense of intentionality and focus with the Climate Caucus that advanced some of these principles that created the conditions ultimately to advance this cause. We talk often about leadership. In the old paradigm of leadership, it was command and control. You'd sell down a vision. We now know it's not about command and control, it's climate control. Creating conditions where success becomes irresistible. Creating conditions where people come together, cross their differences, because coalitions have been built, where there's a sense of inevitability because of that climate that has been created, that we will move an agenda forward. And it's in that spirit that I want to highlight not just those remarkable leaders that spoke, but many that are here in the audience, including and importantly, folks like Scott Wetch, IBEW, the trades, including pipe trades and the sheet metal workers and so many others that stepped up on this bill and helped create those conditions. We would not have done it without them. There's pieces of coalition. Senator Caballero is absolutely right. Pieces of coalition. You got to create coalitions. You know, you've heard the old, African proverbs. You want to go fast, go alone. But you want to go far, you got to go together. And that's hard. We could talk about the way the world should be and, out protest it, or we can actually make demonstrable progress. And we took the latter approach here. And it's remarkable. As a consequence of doing so, there's no other jurisdiction in the world, think about that, that's doing what the state of California is doing. And it makes sense, doesn't it? We're on our way, eat your heart out, Germany, to being the 4th largest economy in the world, no longer 5th largest economy, if we keep at it. We still have a little work to do. And it's appropriate that this state would lead this space. We often talk about, electricity, electric power, EV. It's not about electric power, it's about economic power. Electricity is the architecture to transform and decarbonize not just the sector, but our economy. Allows us to leapfrog in low carbon green growth. It allows us to dominate in the next big industry. That's why this climate commitment and package of 40 plus bills, 6 that I will sign today, are backed up with 4 million jobs. They're backed up with billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer savings. We estimate $23 billion will be saved because of the mitigation initiatives and efforts that are advanced in this bill in terms of what would have cost the taxpayers for just the pollution that we are reducing as a consequence of these bills. 60% reduction, 60% reduction in air pollution as a consequence of this bill. Think about this. These are consultants doing this work. It wasn't just politicians asserting this. We work with the California Air Resources Board. This is about law. This is not about ambition. This is not an executive order. This is not a promotion. This is a promise that we now need to deliver. And in that process of advancing that promise, there was a lot of work done to back up these assertions. 92%. Think about this. A 92% reduction in the utilization of fossil fuels in buildings and transportation sector because of what we are advancing today. That is a big deal. And you know why it's a big deal? Because once a mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form. For all the, people that are selling stupid on Fox and doubling down on stupid every single night, trying to recreate the 19th century. I'm not even sure they're interested in recreating the 20th, the 19th century. Here we are leapfrogging and moving ahead. The deniers and the doubters, all that anger, these guys are spewing every single night. Just think about the state of Texas. The first 5 months of this year, talk about spewing. 22.9 million tons of coal they spewed in the first 5 months of this year compared to California, 18,000 tons. 22.9 million tons. And they're talking to us about keeping our lights on? 3 full days they couldn't keep their lights on last year. All that coal and gas. 200 to 700 people, a high-end estimate, died as a consequence. $130+ billion of economic damage, full 3 days. And the Wall Street Journal's writing editorials about our challenges, where we didn't have any blackouts, where we actually mitigated an unprecedented 10-day streak that blew away over 1,000 heat records. And yet we were able to advance not just our ideals, but this cause during the most extreme test that this state has ever faced. And we're proud of that. And they better get the facts right on all of this. So we're not interested in doubling down on stupid. We're not interested in investing in the industries that have created the problems that we're trying to mitigate. I mean, that's just profoundly ridiculous. So we're leapfrogging. We're moving in a completely new direction, and I couldn't be more proud and excited because this is about innovation. This is about entrepreneurialism. This is about pushing out the boundaries of discovery. This is about everything we are. This is about the future. We say it all the time, the future happens here first. We're America's coming attraction. And if you want to do well there in the future, you got to invest in it. And that's why I'm also proud that this legislature, extraordinary legislature, the state of California, just passed $53.9 billion to back up these pieces of legislation. Put that in perspective. 53 billion, 54. I mean, I appreciate it, and I do, and this is not a cheap shot, quite the contrary. I appreciate deeply what President Biden announced 2 days ago in Michigan, which was $58.6 million the state of California is going to get for electric vehicle infrastructure. I appreciate that, $58.6 million. That's part of the $900 million. This legislature just passed $3 billion specific in this state, $3 billion just for electrical vehicle infrastructure, $10 billion for the industry generally. I can put that in perspective. The state of California did that. So we mean business. And so I'm enthusiastic, I'm proud, and I know I'm already talking too much. But, I'm looking out. Many of you spoke, many didn't speak. I'm at peril if I miss one or two of the legislative leaders. So I'm not going to call out everybody's name at my own risk, but I am going to ask in a moment everybody to come up because they deserve all to be here. Everybody's here for a reason, and that's because of their leadership. And I'll just close on this. I'm blessed. We were able to steal from John Kerry, Lauren Sanchez in my office, incredible leader in this space. Did a remarkable job making all this happen. She's got a fan club. Now I'm a little worried. Jesus, all right. Don't go taking her. And then my whole team, you know, Ana Montesantos, who worked so hard on this, the whole climate team. And, you know, I see David here, and I see Karen, others that are all part of our three-legged stool. It's been hard. This has been a hard few weeks for all of us. We've worked hard. We've worked through some extremes. And, you know, I think, and I'll truly end on this, I think the world's waking up. There's this great awakening. Because if you don't believe in science, you have to believe your own eyes. If you don't believe in global warming, maybe you now believe in global heating. I mean, the hots are just so much hotter. The dries are so much drier. Extreme weather, extreme drought, extreme floods. Ask the folks in Pakistan, the banks of the Mississippi. Look what they're unable to do in China this year. The Yangtze River. Look what they can't do. They can't even navigate the Rhine. You know, we're near the wine country. Ask them how that was going in southern France with unprecedented drought and heat. Literally, vineyards, entire Beaujolais. I know everybody, well, that sounds all West Coast. But entire ag industries, their crop, literally, just heating up, turning into raisins on the vines. And all that southwestern France and all those forest fires. Unprecedented, this great awakening. And it's turned into a bit of a conundrum, hasn't it? Because the consequences are being felt, yet we have to disenthrall ourselves from the world we created that's created these conditions. And that's the friction. That's the dialectic. That's this transition. And that's why I think this package is balanced, thoughtful, and appropriates itself in a way that we can advance and achieve our goals. We are in the how business. We've moved past what and why. This is about application. This is about implementation, and it's about time. Can I ask all the remarkable leaders in the California legislature come on up here, and we will sign these bills. Sonny. Hey, well, congrats. What's going on, brother? Made so much happen. I know. Get in here. Jesus. How do you see all you guys up here?
Anna.
I'm going to try to sneak up here, guys. Somehow.
Oh, come on.
I'll balance it out.
EJ, well said. All right. You know, what, did you put this on top? Your bill?
I know. We're in Vallejo.
Laird made sure his bill was first. John, congratulations. Senator Laird did a remarkable job working with his colleagues, and it's appropriate that he was speaking, and I couldn't be more proud. This is a big damn deal. Damn deal. We didn't use that other word. Congratulations. And Senate Bill 1020 is now law in the state of California.
Thank you, Governor.
The actual bill, don't lose it. All right, Lamont, where are you? She's not here. Unbelievable. Who's our co-authors? All right, thank you. We've got Senate Bill 1314. And I know, by the way, congratulations to all of you back there that also made this possible. This is a big deal, years and years coming. Congratulations, Assemblywoman. Congratulations. Senator Gonzalez, 1137.
Lena,
Where are you?
she's right there.
You're right there.
She has her son here.
All right, buddy.
Yay.
Here you go. Say thank you, Mom.
She goes, what's this?
Senator Caballero, the SB 905. Congratulations, and Senator Skinner as well for all your hard work on this.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Al, where's Marisucci? Get over here.
Thank
This
you
is 1279, and you as well deserve tremendous credit. I know how many years you've been working on this. You made it happen this year. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. And Rivas and Garcia, once again, AB 1757. Where are you? There's Rivas, over here. Thank you, guys, for all your hard work. So these are 6 of the 40 bills that we'll be signing today on the climate package. These remarkable leaders made it happen. Let's do a big photo.
All right, everyone, look right here. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, everybody. And Senator Hertzberg will be taking all questions. That's a fact. Any questions?
Hi, Governor. Daniela Pardo with Spectrum News. Governor, Latinos are very vulnerable to the effects of climate change, as we heard Assemblymember Garcia and Gonzalez mention. What is your plan moving forward to make sure that they don't get left out with your big plan to transition to more electric vehicles? How are you going to make it more accessible so that they can also participate in reaching the state's climate goals?
We're very proud, specifically on the electric vehicles. $10 billion of our $3.9 billion package is set aside for EVs specifically. We also set aside $9,500 low-income rebates to convert your old tailpipe, fossil fuel run car into a low-carbon green car. $9,500 rebates. In addition to that, we have a $5,000 down payment plan specifically targeted to low-income communities. Of the $3 billion of the $10 billion in the infrastructure plan, the disproportionate targeting of the investment in charging stations is in low-income communities. Equity is driving that initiative and driving these efforts. It's foundational in the work we do, and it has been codified in this legislative package.
And a new PPIC poll says that 55% of the voters are likely to support Prop 30. I know you are against it, but they say this will help meet a lot of your goals. So what do you have to say about the majority of California?
Once they learn more about it, that a particular company puts $15 million to get it on the ballot, and they're one of the biggest beneficiaries of those tax dollars, I think they'll look anew. I think when they look at this package and the fact that we're doing more than any other jurisdiction subnationally in the world, and as much or more than 90+% of nations, they'll understand that Prop 30 is unnecessary and is misleading.
Thank you.
Hi, Governor. Laura Cordy from Politico. I have a question in regards to the migrants who were shipped to Martha's Vineyard that we learned about yesterday. I know you sent a letter to Merrick Garland, but is there any action that California's own Justice Department can take? Have you spoken to AG Bonta about anything the state can do in this regard?
Yeah, we're collaborating with him, and that's an open-ended question for us, but I think this appropriately belongs to the Department of Justice, and Merrick Garland should take a close look at it. Turns out I was not the only one. There was a chorus of folks shortly thereafter when we announced the letter that we had sent to Merrick Garland that are arguing similarly. Those migrants are used as pawns to humiliate and dehumanize. What Ron DeSantis is doing is a disgrace. It's almost monstrous, and I say that not lightly. I say that quite thoughtfully. He's got kids. I have kids. You saw those young girls with backpacks, no older than his children, my children, being used as political pawns, and now he's using it to fundraise, to raise money. It's disgraceful. He's a disgrace. What these governors are doing are disgraceful. So it needs to stop. And forgive me.
Hi. Yeah, okay. Hi, Governor. Ashley Zavala with KCRA3. We're less than 2 months from the election, less than a month until ballots hit mailboxes. I just want to follow up on some comments that you made a couple days ago. You're happy to debate Brian Daly. You're looking forward to it.
Yes.
His campaign has said that there's still currently no plan to do so. He would like you to debate on TV. I know in 2018 you debated on the radio. Your response to that?
I said we would debate him. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. And then with that, there seems to be encouragement that you will debate him. There are other Democrats on the ticket who currently have no plans to debate, including the appointed Attorney General Rob Bonta, Malia Cohen. I want to get your take on other Democrats not debating.
I don't
Should
know
voters
that,
have the opportunity to see these exchanges?
I think we're having an opportunity to dialogue here. I'm very accessible. We go up and down the state. I believe those same elected officials do the same. They'll make that determination for themselves on the basis of what they think is the best interest, not just of their candidacy, but the best interest of the voters and those they're trying to serve across the state.
Okay, one more question from me, I promise. Your campaign has been spending money out of state. We saw the billboards that you put up in 7 anti-abortion states. What do you say to those who might say you're spending money outside of California from your reelection funds? Are you not taking this upcoming election seriously?
We're doing this, and I'm proud. Our donors are asking for more of that. People in the state of California are asking for more leadership in this space. We're proud. Look, Every single one of us you see here also has one thing in common. They passed $200 million of additional resources for reproductive care. This is a reproductive freedom state. They're supporting Prop 1. They believe in women's freedom and right to choose. And they're backing that up with unprecedented resources. We just created the nation's first website, abortion.ca.gov. I encourage everybody, if they have loved ones, people they know that are struggling, stressed out because of what these other governors are doing in these anti-freedom states, to let them know that we have their back. No matter where you live, we have your back. And I have the opportunity, because of this campaign and the resources we've been able to raise, to put 21 billboards in those 7 states to express that. Let folks know in Texas. Let folks know in states like Oklahoma, Mississippi, and the draconian laws. You talk about Ron DeSantis. I mean, a young girl could be raped by her father and be forced to carry her own sister in Ron DeSantis's Florida, and they lay claim to freedom. I'm proud to be able to put those billboards up, proud to be in a position to be able to afford it and do so through the campaign.
Very good. Yeah.
Hi, Governor. I'm Lena Howland with KGO out of San Francisco. Jumping off of the question about the situation with those migrants, wondering if you might be able to say anything of if those migrants could be coming to California, and if they are sent here, what would our state's response look like?
Well, you know what it looks like. We're a border state. We're a majority minority state. We're a state where 27% of our population is foreign born. We're a state that practices pluralism. It's a word they've never used. They should look it up. We're a universal state. We're a state that prides itself, doesn't tolerate our diversity. It's a state that celebrates our diversity. And let me tell you specifically what the folks here have done. Every single one of them have yet another thing in common. Demonstrable record of leadership in this space. They opened up a migrant facility with state money, not just in San Diego, but in Imperial and in Riverside County. They've invested hundreds of millions of dollars to compassionately take care of people that are coming here seeking asylum in this state, testing them, vaccinating them, and appropriately supporting their transition into the United States as they await their court proceedings. That's what we do. That's who we are. And that would be the approach we take if they decide to play that stunt here in the state of California.
And a follow-up question to that, with that in mind, and also keeping in mind those billboards that have gone up in other states for women that might be seeking abortions, can you speak about any sort of formal efforts in our state to provide sanctuary to women or immigrants or others who might feel persecuted in other states?
We provide that support. We've done that. Now we have more resources to do more of that. Now, no one's naive. There's about 33.6 million reproductive age women in the roughly 26 or so states that are likely to restrict reproductive freedom. No one's naive about our ability to absorb that support for even a small percentage that may seek their reproductive health care. But we're doing more than any other state in this nation, and the purpose of that website that they funded in the budget this year is to not just illuminate that opportunity, but to provide a specific aggregated site of resources so people understand, regardless of their background, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their status, that care can be provided here in the state of California.
Morning, Governor. Pete Serrato's here with NBC Bay Area. A couple of questions. First, why was it important for you to sign these specific measures here at Merritt
First of all, thank you for asking about the legislation. I appreciate it. You belong on national news, young man. Sorry. I'm joking. It was important because Senator Laird would have it no other way. No, it was important. Look, I'm from the Bay Area. I think this site is interesting, isn't it? You see this facility behind you. It's completely powered by the solar you see above you. What you see behind us is a point of contrast. We're at this hinge moment. This, in many respects, represents the past. This side represents the future. And we're at that hinge moment in our nation's history, certainly the state's history. And we thought symbolically and substantively this would be an appropriate site. We also have around this site demonstration projects. This vehicle-to-grid capacity that is a game changer. You'll be writing a lot more and talking a lot more about this. The opportunity for vehicles to be battery storage and then export their off-peak charge back onto the grid during the peak to absorb more load. This is the future that the folks out there in the anger industry and machine don't understand, but everybody here does. The Bay Area is dominated in this space. 43 manufacturers in this space in the state of California, hundreds of headquartered companies already in this space. We dominate in electric vehicle and innovation and entrepreneurialism and the software development in this space. And we want to continue that leadership, and that's what today's all about.
And then my last question, not as event friendly, but this question.
Yes,
Obviously we had this big heat wave here. There was a good amount of flex alert fatigue, I think is fair to say for folks.
That's right.
What would be your message to Californians if, I mean, we're inevitably going to deal with another heat wave. You know, if they have to deal with the flex alert, you know, and deal with it as we're dealing with all this heat, what would your message be to folks in the state?
Well, first of all, I have such gratitude, such respect and appreciation for 40 million Californians that stepped up and met the moment. What we did was extraordinary across the spectrum. So first of all, gratitude. Second of all, we're dealing with such extremes that all our modeling, even updated modeling, needs to be thrown out. Our transition's not the problem, the climate is the problem. I mentioned 1,000 records that were broken. You had 125-degree temperatures in the state of California, in September. We reached those peaks on September 6th, over 52,000 megawatts absorbed. But here's the good news. In May of this year, we put out a plan to advance our transition. This June, we passed unprecedented supports to advance that plan, be it a strategic reserve that would provide upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 new megawatts over the next few years. The procurement at the CPUC, unprecedented 11,500 megawatts that will be installed over the next few years. The incredible work the CEC has done on offshore wind in partnership with the Biden administration that by 2045, we believe can generate upwards of 25,000 additional megawatts. The work we did on permitting was a game changer. Maybe the biggest news story is a story that you would have a hard time generating any real eyeballs or interest in. And that is how we've radically changed the siting and permitting for large-scale green energy projects with a 270-day permitting requirement and a 270-day court requirement. 6 years was taking, on average, many of these projects.